The lore surrounding LeBlanc is getting very interesting, especially right now when we know that she's looking for a Darkin weapon and she trapped the Atakan to find the information related to the location of the Darkin weapon. To me that was crazy, that entire sequence of LeBlanc playing a game so she would have enough time to trap the demon. By the way, that minigame is really cool. So in addition to all of that, Riot Games released another story where they showcased LeBlanc's ability to use clones all over Runeterra. Through the story, we get a closer look at LeBlanc scheming in multiple regions: Freljord, Noxus, Demacia, and Ionia. Everywhere and Everyone by L J Goulding. Remarkably, the general has not cried out in pain even once. The apothecaries and healers still fear he will lose the arm. True ice almost always means death to mortals, yet Darius has borne these unimaginable agonies through gritted teeth and a torrent of florid curses directed at everyone in the camp. Hunched upon a pallet of furs, he is as close to the roaring heart as we dare put him, sheened with feverish sweat. Curiously, the Freljordian priests have offered little counsel. They were only too happy to accompany our war host when we entered the Northlands as guests of the Frostguard so many months ago. Though their battle plate marks them as warriors and not ambassadors, they advised us on safe marching routes and customs of the troll tribes that we might exploit during our campaign. Now, the three of them remain huddled in whispered conference, casting furtive glances at the general and those attending him. The most senior frost priest, the graying veteran Holfir, turns his one-eyed gaze to me. He sees what others see, what anyone would see. A lowly blade squire, plain and unremarkable. For a moment he falters, as if trying to peer through an icy ocean gale, fingers hovering at the axe at his hip. My lesser sisters may struggle to maintain illusion under such scrutiny, yet to me it is as simple as breathing. I send the thought, cleanly and subtly. Nothing is amiss. Golfier's eye narrows, then he returns to his brethren and their secretive debate. Feigning intent to refill the general's water cup, I rise and head for the tent's doorway. I will discard this appearance, and when we break camp, I will find another. None will note the absence of the young blade squire or recall his name. You will remember he was ever here. The first part is a continuation of the story told in the Welcome to Noxus cinematic, and more specifically, after the duel between Trundle and Darius. As you remember, Trundle is an Iceborn, so he can wield weapons made out of true ice. Yes, the club he was using during the duel is made out of true ice. You can see that as soon as Darius strikes the club with his own axe, the axe starts freezing, the same way his veins start freezing in the final moments of the fight. So this part of the story takes place after that, and we can see how much it affected Darius from a physical perspective. We can also see that it was the Frostguard who guided the Noxians through Freljord. The Frostguard are one of three major tribes who live in the ruins of ancient Freljord, protecting their leader Lysandra, who is watching over the Howling Abyss. Obviously, in this instance, LeBlanc is the squire, and it's quite interesting how she views herself as the superior clone. You'll see something very similar in the rest of the parts. Lord Vladimir is not one to linger out in the morning's light, at least not without good reason. By the rosy tint of his cheek, I would guess his night was spent incognito in some decadent saloon of the noble houses, likely hosted by that buffoon Edwin Cortain or one of the Noradis. With his hood drawn up, Vladimir crosses the marketplace, keeping a wary eye upon the towers of the Immortal Bastion's center. Oh my, is he attempting to be stealthy? Adorable. Nonetheless, I will not make the same mistake that so many of my lesser sisters have by underestimating the Hemomancer and his abilities. I keep a good distance between us, turning my stolen face to the nearest merchant's wares whenever he looks back. Where are you going, Vlad? And who, I wonder, is worth such secrecy? In the second part, LeBlanc is spying Vladimir, who has his own schemes. Those who play Legends of Runeterra will know of the people LeBlanc mentions in relation to Vladimir. I also wonder, what is Vladimir doing? It would be very interesting if he actually went to meet the main LeBlanc or a higher version of LeBlanc, and this copy who's spying on him doesn't know anything about that because they have limited information, so they do not put in danger a higher copy or even the main LeBlanc. I do not believe the main LeBlanc ever shows herself even to Vladimir. The bells ring out of her failure. The occupation of Ionia is over by order of our new Grand General. Noxus is leaving. A curse upon the name of Jericho Swain. We should have ended him when we had the chance, yet my lesser sisters deemed him no further threat to our enterprises. A curse on them too. Wearing the guise of a grizzled Jute and half out of uniform, I hurry along the fortress battlement to the Ocean Ward Keep. Through the gate, a curt salute to the 3 naval officers, clutching a war's worth of cartography between them coming in the other direction. I recognize one, Captain of the Ember Drake, though she pays me no heed. I turn the corner and assume her visage. To the man frantically creating the High Command archives, I am merely the captain returning on some newly remembered errand. The barked threat of a public flogging, and one of them unlocks the heavy doors leading to the lower vaults, down left, toward the Dailech Ahira, the dreaming pool of failure. With the Noxian forces withdrawing in haste from the first lands, this may be my last opportunity to... No matter. In the tunnel's gloom, another of my sisters stands over the body of a war mason, a dagger between his shoulders. I raise my hand, tracing an arcane sigil, which she returns with the appropriate shibboleth. Satisfied, I return to the surface and the worship birth that awaits me. In the third part, we have LeBlanc scheming in Ionia, and more specifically in one of the Noxian-controlled territories. At this point, Swain is the Grand General, and it's very interesting how this clone, it makes me think about the relation between the clones, because it's clearly not a hive mind. And as I previously mentioned, it seems like they probably have limited information, and the information related to the regions they are working in, or the regions they are assigned to. For example, in this instance, we have 2 copies of LeBlanc with the same idea of going to the Dreaming Pool. The Dreaming Pool is an interesting place because previously, Syndra was held captive inside the Dreaming Pool, but right now, the one who's held captive is the previous commanding officer of this fortress. So maybe LeBlanc thought about Syndra whenever she went there, but she had no information about the fact that Syndra was already free. So it could be that the event where LeBlanc is looking for Syndra is very close to the present, and so is the Dreaming Pool storyline. I think that would work really well with the idea that the next League season is based in Ionia. The tranquility of the Royal Gardens is renowned throughout Demacia. Whatever transpires beyond these high walls might as well be 1,000 miles away, for it does not interrupt the gentle swaying of the trees nor the sweet morning chorus of birdsong. I kneel upon a grimy cushion, dragging my trowel between the rose bushes in a pantomime of gardening as I watch the senescal pace the gravel path, hands clasped gently behind his back. No one ever questions my presence here. Why would they? It is inconceivable that any intruder would make it this far within the palace grounds unchallenged, and in the presence of the great senescal himself no less. He is a creature of habit, rising an hour before dawn and the commencement of his daily duties. I wonder, does he gaze east in anticipation of the sunrise, or in the memory of his distant homeland? He smiles at me as he passes, bowing his head. Any of my lesser sisters might be disarmed by the genuine warmth he shows, even to an anonymous old servant, but I am made of sterner stuff. Then he pauses, quite unexpectedly, beneath the resplendent boughs of a nearby silver birch, before stooping to pluck something from the earth. A seed. A single seed. He regards it for a long moment, before slipping it into a pocket and continuing on his way. The fourth part of the story has LeBlanc posing as an old gardener all the way in Demacia, and this one is very interesting to me because Demacia is very against magic and mages. She sees the senescal of Demacia, who is Xin Zhao, and as you remember, he was a reckoner in the Noxian fighting pits. The chamber walls ripple with 1,000 glyphs, boiling and melting into one another. Here at the heart of my false empire, I will divine the path forward. My lesser sisters are scattered throughout the countless nations and kingdoms of this world, at any given moment engaged in schemes and machinations without number, each sincerely believing they alone are the one true LeBlanc. I suppose I should ask myself then, what do I believe? No matter, I am everywhere and I am everyone. In the final part of the story we have the main LeBlanc, or only a high copy of LeBlanc, because even this one is questioning herself when thinking about the lesser versions or the lesser copies. This part works hand in hand with that cinematic where LeBlanc reveals that Noxus is a lie and everything was built by her. Anyways, that was the entire story, which I think was very good and intriguing. Besides that, all I can say is that I cannot wait to see what's next, and you can tell me your own opinion in the comment section. Thanks for watching.